Hi, my name is Jess Haynes, and today I'm going to be talking about the body rituals among the Nacirema tribe article for my COM-263 class at Grand Canyon University. So, to get straight into the article that talks about the tribe, when first reading it for the first time, it didn't occur to me that it was actually fictional. So, on first impressions, I was pretty horrified about what I was reading. The traditions and the rituals described were in such a way that almost felt like human torture or suffering. Phrases like the women who bake their heads for an hour and men who scrape their faces with sharp instruments every morning. Reading these descriptions, if it seems extremely unpleasant due to it seeming somewhat dangerous from an outsider perspective. However, after truly analysing and reading it, I actually came to realise that it was talking about American culture, as the word Nacirema actually spells American backwards. After discovering this, the article was flipped entirely on its head. When reading the article, it actually became quite amusing, the way that they were describing basic everyday routines spoken about in such a distorted way. The references of the mouth men, who were described as dentists, and the medicine men, which actually are pharmacists and doctors. And for me, the funniest one was the witch doctor that was used to describe a therapist that expels demons from your mind. The rituals that took place were daily routines of the average American. The shrine to wash and scrape your faces with sharp instruments and inserting a bundle of hog hairs into your mouth shows a reference to shaving and brushing your teeth every morning. The article actually started to become very amusing to me. And as the average person, this seems like nothing, but from an outsider's perspective, this will seem very strange. Talking about the Nacirema tribe, it actually came to describe that these practices are extremely strange, but we still do it every day because that's what's culturally accepted. So, on reflection, I think the main idea of this article was trying to express the struggles of the American healthcare system. For example, in the article, it expresses the need to pay for every treatment and medicine you receive. For me personally, this is something that I'm not so familiar with. Coming from the UK, we have access to free healthcare, so I couldn't imagine what American citizens cope with in trying to fund this by themselves. I feel like for me personally, it would be really scary as you'd almost become scared to become sick or injured due to the expensive costs that you face for acquiring this treatment. So, this article got me thinking about different cultural perspectives and how each culture has their own traditions and rituals that, from an outsider perspective, may be seen as odd or unusual. Therefore, I want to share details about a tradition that we have in the UK that, from an outsider perspective, at first may be seen as barbaric or strange. But after understanding why we do it, it becomes more normalised and a holiday tradition that is celebrated every year. On the 5th of November every year, the nation comes to celebrate a holiday called Bonfire Night. Some also call it Firework Night or Guy Fawkes Night. During this evening, friends, families, and communities all gather to celebrate the capture of a man named Guy Fawkes, who back in 1605 had a plot to try and blow up the Houses of Parliament, our own government building, with explosive gunpowder. Every year on this night, we gather and cook lots of food, have a barbecue outside in the cold winter's air, roast marshmallows by the fire, and play games late into the night. But the main tradition we have is setting off firework displays and starting a fairly big bonfire. On the top of the bonfire, we place an effigy or scarecrow of Guy Fawkes, or in modern times, another public figure that is of disliking. For example, political figures that reflect public discontent. We burn them on top of the bonfire while playing music and games, and everyone is enjoying the company of friends and family. Now, from an outsider perspective, this may be seen as very unusual and barbaric. However, the meanings of this holiday tradition are rooted deep within the British culture. As I briefly said earlier, this holiday got its name from the failed gunpowder plot of 1605, where a failed attempt by Guy Fawkes and his fellow conspirators tried to blow up the Houses of Parliament. From my further research into the meanings and the origins of this tradition, I found an article by Carter Jones on November 3rd, 2024. This article expressed that the holiday began as a government-sanctioned holiday to promote the loyalty to the monarchy. However, it has since developed into a complex symbol of rebellion and protest, mirroring the shifting attitudes towards the authority in British society. The plot was a conspiracy in reaction to the harsh Protestant rule of King James I. They tried to eliminate the king and restore Catholic monarchy by planting explosives under the Houses of Lords. After its failure, it created a pivotal period in history, and King James instituted the annual holiday to give thanks for the monarchy's preservation. At this time, it was mainly celebrated strictly by the loyalists in nature. Citizens were encouraged to light fires and set off fireworks to express the gratitude of the plot's failure and promote obedience to the monarchy. However, as society's political landscape evolved, it started to morph into a day laden with themes of rebellion and civil defiance. In the 18th and 19th century, it started to shift away from the monarchy to various political movements that showed individuals' rights, religious tolerance, and democracy. This cultural shift was reflected by Guy Fawkes. They saw him not just as a failed conspirator, but as a symbol of resistance against oppression. Bonfire Night became more than just a celebration. It evolved into an enduring commentary of rebellion in British society and the tensions between the authorities and individual freedom. The fireworks that are set off and the colours they show represent the fiery spirit of resistance that has come so defiant in British cultural identity. A quote by Suzanne Morrison in 2017 said that the effigy burning tradition is actually an act of symbolic protest, allowing people to publicly voice discontent without any consequence. Therefore, to summarise this cultural tradition, it is not only a celebrated holiday where friends and families can gather to have one great night of fun and excitement, but it is also very symbolic to the cultural identity in the UK. Even though it is only celebrated one night a year, its identity is what has shaped the everyday lives of Britain and can still be seen everywhere you go. Given a well-established democracy where people have their own rights to express their own opinions. So I hope you enjoyed this video and it's given you some different perspectives on cultural traditions that may be seen strange from an outsider perspective. Thank you.